Greetings, this is August 30th at 12 a.m. and there has been activity today on the Elephant Hill wildfire. If a crow flies the entire length of the perimeter from south to north, it is 75.6 kilometers. So let's take a look at the VIIRS system displaying infrared from just before 9 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let's start at the south. We can see the area around Battle Creek and then moving north to Brosseau around Barricade Creek. Then we have infrared displaying south of Hihium on the northern flank of that fire pocket. Then we have a couple new spots to the southwest of Vedette. We are looking at 5 or 6 spots approximately 3 kilometers southeast of Pressy Lake. Then we're looking at some expansion with several new infrared hotspots on the northeast flank of Mount Jim towards Lake of the Woods, approximately 2 kilometers southeast of Little Green Lake. We're also seeing new 6-hour activity. It looks like north of Marsden Lake on Hutchison Road. Now let's take a look at the area south of Hihium Lake, and as you can see, there's been a lot of activity that's pushed to the north flanks of each of these fire pockets. If we look south of Brosseau and the Barricade Creek, we have 2 outlying hotspots, 6 hours, and then moving further south we have 2 groups older around the Battle Creek area, and they don't have anything new, so it's these 2 outliers. If we move north to Hihium, we're looking, the start of that fire front is approximately 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers south of Hihium. We have 2 main groups that are straddling the Hihium Scotty Creek Road, and then on the western side, I believe that's 343 Road, we have a group of about 6 new hotspots there, and this has popped up again, so we've got flare-ups. Let's take a look at Vedette now. We had those 2 that were approximately 2 kilometers, 2.5 kilometers southwest, but now we've got some 5 kilometers southwest, a couple of new hotspots. But the group that was closer, they've now moved into the 12-hour category, nothing new in that 2-kilometer range. Moving a little bit northward to Young Lake, again, I'm seeing no new infrared. The existing 24-hour infrared has appeared quite static, and that's good news. We're now looking southwest from over top of Bridge Lake. We've had a viewer report a tornado-style cloud of smoke or plume of smoke that was coming up from the southwest, and this gives you a look at the proximity, the terrain, and kind of a gauge of where this activity might be coming from. Another viewer in 93 Mile also commented this smoke activity, and this is the perspective looking to the southeast from 93 Mile. And it's interesting because we could almost triangulate where this plume of smoke was coming from based on these vantage points. So we are watching around the northeast flank, just right and up from center on your screen. And that includes what's southeast of Pressy Lake in what I believe is Boulay, Young Lake, FSR, and there's Bandello Lake and Home Lake in that region. And we're watching south of Little Green Lake towards Lake of the Woods and that valley that kind of comes up from North Bonaparte Road. We're watching the Hutchison area. We're watching those new spots around Vedette, what's going on just south of Hihium, around the Brosseau Lake area, I believe Barricade Creek, and down towards Battle Creek. What's clear is that this is still a very active fire with flare-ups and still lots of fuel on many different fronts. Let's take a look at the wind now and see if maybe there's an advantage we can get out of all this. We're looking at NASA's world view, and the link is below. Here you can see that swath of clear sky that's running all the way from the Yukon down to Mexico. And if we look at the wind systems, they're pulling moisture to the west coast, and it's also pulling moisture away to the east coast. And we're kind of in the middle, and here looking at the precipitation monitor, we've got a dry belt, and I'm not sure how long that will last. If we zoom in, looking at the west coast, we can see a lot of smoke coming up from Washington, Oregon, and then we see the Caribou is still quite active. And just right of center, there's the Elephant Hill fire. And if we zoom in, we can see that plume of smoke that's coming from the south of Hihium Lake. And we are also seeing, it looks like some dense haze there. That could be from Hutchison and southeast of Pressy Lake. And I'm not seeing plumes coming from the northeast flank. Very difficult to tell from this angle and probably this time that the photo was taken. We're just going to roll down now and take a look at the southern flank around Cache Creek, Highway 99, Highway 97. Again, I'm not seeing a lot of plumes other than that major one coming south of Hihium. I'm not seeing any plumes around Battle Creek either. Zooming right in south of Hihium, there we're starting to see some of these plumes coming up east of Hihium, Scotty Creek Road, and south towards Brosseau. So there's a lot of activity there. And we saw in the last video, there's quite a mix of forestation. There's dense pockets and large blocks of forest south of the lake. This image from NASA Worldview was so clear today, I thought I'd just take a really quick look around and see what else is going on in infrared. Here we're looking at Brazil. I can see a lot of isolated spots south of the Amazon. It looks like some sort of industrialized process is going on there, and a lot of haze flowing to the northwest. We can also jump over to Central Africa, and the same story here. A lot of individual isolated hotspots throughout forested areas. I can only speculate on what the cause is, and not large forested blocks. Until we go to Australia here, we're at the north of the country, and I'd like you to look at an area just south of the Gulf, and you can see a large infrared grouping that could be a large forest fire, and a lot of smaller isolated spots that are going up the northeastern peninsula. Let's jump again to the west coast of the United States, and here we can see Oregon and what's going on in Washington, also over in Montana, Idaho, and then towards the north we can get a glimpse of the Caribou. Lots of fire activity, lots of smoke. We're looking at a close-up of the Caribou right now, and you can see that smoke flowing to the northeast, but they're having a similar situation over in Russia on the other side of the northern hemisphere. Many forest fires over there as well. And returning back to our part of the world, a lot of the smoke that we're having in southern interior is coming from this fire to the northeast of Mount Rainier, and alongside it is this fire that started south of Manning Park, south of Cathedral Lakes. And if you're in Karameas or Caledon, even Penticton, that looks very intense. However, I did talk to a relative in Penticton, and it appears that that smoke is going up and over. But if we pull back, there is still a lot of smoke hanging around in valleys, low-lying areas. Hopefully some of this wind will give us a breath of fresh air. And if we look at the situation about an hour ago, this is Big Bar, 15 kilometers coming from the south, and pretty consistent across the Elephant Hill wildfire. Looking at the forecast, we're looking at potential wind shifts coming from the east, coming from the north, about every 6 hours or so, and wind velocities should be going down now, and that should stay consistent throughout the rest of the week. Some cloud cover here on a different model, showing up on Thursday, Friday evening. Unlikely to have precipitation, but we'll have to watch out in case there's any sort of heat lightning associated with that. Check the BC wildfire map, because if there is a strike and it turns into a wildfire, they'll post it on their map site. If you're watching these videos, you will probably recognize this as the Dry BC Big Bar Cam. I use it as my windsock to see what's happening northwards. It looks fairly clear, a bit of haze. That wind has been pushing from the south and the west, and over here at Begbie it looks like quite a nice sunset again. I've been saving these images, and I might just run them all together as a tribute to the Begbie highway cam from Dry BC. Going over to the Sheridan cam, there was this phenomena. I'm not seeing any discernible smoke, but in the distance we could have a high haze, maybe up around 1,000 to 5,000 feet. It's hard to say. It definitely looks clear in the foreground. So can we get some sleep tonight? I think somebody's going to have to stay up on watch. There is activity on the fire. There's a lot of new infrared. The wind is not been that helpful. It has upped in velocity. However, it should get a lot calmer. So please do check those bulletins and alerts from the regional links below. And you want to know what your position is. You want to know what your escape route is. You want to have all your resources prepared ahead of time just in case. Be safe, everyone. Have a good night.